What's up? So I found out that please go check out the previous part to gauge your bearings. We're in the second part now. The first part I was RJ lamenting about some earrings that RJ be knowing at my ear like it's Pac-Man. Okay, yeah. I went on Reddit. I was speaking about how it is that a rusted item, like a rusted pipe, if you put it on your skin, if you don't cut yourself, you'll just have to remove it and wipe yourself from the rust that's dried up that's on your skin. It won't infect you if this organ that is your skin is all sealed. All right, that's what's good. But if you cut yourself and then you put the rust there, that's when it starts to poison your skin, and you get that purulent stuff that I've just been reading about from my cell phone device. I'll just trying to explain what in the world is going on. I need to be able to charge this phone. What's the battery? Oh, it's looking really low, so this phone is no longer available for me to Google on, because as soon as I take out the battery, not the battery, the charger, it stops working. No, actually, there's another charger that I can put in that might keep it alive and well. Let me charge this phone because I'm using it to record, and we don't want to lose footage. Oh goodness, just go in. Okay, cool. There we go, the charger again. Alrighty, and I'm on 28%, so I was really skating on thin ice over there. Yeah, anyway, whatever, but it probably would have warned me once I got to 20%. Listen up. Yes, like I said, rust, if you put it on you without you being with an open wound, cool beans, whatever, you'll be fine. But then if the wound is there, you could get an infection that could become quite dangerous to you. I had the situation on my ear with some rusting thing that also cut into me, and my ear has got, of course, a lot of nerve endings and what have you, but if somebody chops off your ear, you'll probably live. You know what I mean? There are certain like parts of your body that if you cut them, you could basically die, because there's either arteries or such thick veins or such important parts of your whole system that everything is going to fall apart. You get my point. And in the face, there's like many such thingy-mabobbies as those. I was listening to, y'all know that I've got this like whole acne issue. I'm currently recovering from acne. I've got hyperpigmentation that's fading, but I come from a season or an era. As you can see, I'm slightly red over there of just having all of these things all up in my grill. Okay, it's getting better this side more so than this type thing, and underneath my neck too, it's improving. Amen. Let's praise God for that. But I come from quite the horrific season, and so during the time when I was in the horrific season, I was watching a lot of content on acne on YouTube, and I had this like bad habit of popping my pimples, you know. And one day I discovered from a video on YouTube that it can apparently kill you. Literally, popping pimples can kill you. I was like, what? So I went on right ahead and I listened to this video, and this doctor that was explaining how it is that you can die from popping pimples. Apparently, it's that there are certain parts of the face that have got very important nerves or whatever, that when you pop a pimple around there, the bacteria that spreads around all over the show in that region where you are popping can then enter into this nerve or this vein and then travel and cause like bruising on your face, because it's like a whole infection, and so you look like somebody punched you, or you look like you've had what do you call this thing, like a rhinoplasty, like a nose job from just popping a pimple. You end up swelling all over your face because the infection is traveling through this one vein, right? And it's just going and going. And so you get bruised, and there's like a teenage girl, she was only 17 or 18, that died from popping a pimple because the infection spread. Her face was swollen, and by the time this was attended to by a doctor, nothing could be done for her because the infection had spread too far. It was messing with her brain, it was messing with her eyes, like the stuff around the eyes. It was an infection that had gone too far. It's like necrotizing fasciitis, like a bacteria that goes in, that gnaws away at your little pinky, and if you don't amputate this pinky or this hand, you will die, because it's like a gangrene spreading that goes to all of your body. Something so small that should have been dealt with really quickly, but because you didn't come to the ER on time, look at you dying and everything. Yeah, from popping a pimple. That's what in the world under heaven an infection in your bloodstream can achieve. So since jewelry does not only go in the ear, but sometimes it goes in the lip. Like, I had a vertical labret at some point. Sometimes it goes in the nose. Y'all see I got a nose thingy. Sometimes it goes in the septum. Y'all know that I've got this piercing all up in my grill that I am still unsure as to whether or not I'm going to take out. Okay, sometimes it goes in your belly button. There are people who pierce their belly buttons. I don't have any piercings anywhere on my body. Okay, sometimes it goes on your belly button. There are people who pierce themselves there. There are others who also pierce themselves in strange environments like genitalia, like breast tissue, nipples. They pierce themselves. Yo, the human, like, this is, it's calling, it's like literally giving Holocaust. Guys, I'm sorry, like, it's giving Holocaust. It's giving genocide. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, is anybody catching what I'm like, yo? Those stats that my mother bought from Edgar Sifoshini, wherever she got them, essentially low-key necrotized my ear. But like, this is a relatively safe zone because it's largely made up of just these nerve endings, but like, it's just cartilage. And really, if you cut through it fine, you'll miss your ear. You might even not look so pretty anymore, but you'll probably live. But there are certain parts of the body that you cannot afford an infection to go in. If a chick can pop her pimple and her bruise from an infection that's spreading until she dies because the stuff spread to the face in just a matter of days, what under heaven can happen when you've got that kind of jewelry in your belly button? What can happen when you've got that kind of jewelry in your nose? And if at all you basically take, I guess, the risk that I took to use jewelry like that to pierce. Remember, I pierced because there are a whole bunch of, like, you know, risque people out there in these streets. Like, I was risque. You cannot sell anything that can endanger people like that in these streets. What if somebody goes and purchases, never mind, making like Karabo and piercing herself at home, basically really just kind of risking a lot in so doing? But you rather make, like, you go to like a professional and you get your nipple pierced. I apologize if these details are disturbing to you, but not everybody's a Christian. And not everybody, you know, exercises discretion as to where they pierce, that they might not, I guess, offend God or whatever. Not everybody, like, there are people that pierce in funny places. Y'all know that. Like, y'all know that. Body modification and whatnot. Like, let's say a woman goes that has pierced her nether regions, like her genitalia. And then she goes and she puts that. Like, she goes and she buys, and like, my mom bought that last year, 2023 sometime. I don't know where she bought it. It could have been at China. It could have been at Dischem. It could have been at Edgar's at Foschini. It could have been at anywhere, right? Type establishment thing where she bought those earrings. Now, imagine somebody like my mom, but like, you know, a good 30 years younger, that is trying to buy, like, at Dischem, there is a swirly little stand where it is that you can buy the kind of jewelry that is for body mod. In other words, like, you know, barbells and stuff like that, where you can buy barbells and flat backs and what have you, instead of just a regular normal earring, you know, those ones that go in with a butterfly stopper at the back, whatnot, but rather barbells, like a 2-stopper thingy that goes into vertical labrae, like here in your lip or in your nose, if you're pierced with a bigger gauge than just an 18 gauge, or in like your what is this, your helix or your conch and whatnot. There's a stand at the Dischem that sells such jewelry as that. Dischem claims that it's titanium, and I believe it is titanium, because why would they lie? They can't afford to lie. They're Dischem. They're a whole respectable pharmaceutical FMCG, so I don't think that they're lying. But places that sell these kinds of like body mod jewelries, not all of them are, I guess, regulated like Dischem, and never mind that. Whatever it is that you can read as what they promise they are might not be that. They sell, I know that Lovisa sells barbells and flatbacks and whatnot, so too there's quite a few stores, like Claire's too at Clearwater sells these things, okay? But what if you went to, like, I don't know, some place where it doesn't really say what it is? They don't gotta, like, if the price is low, it's cheap, it's under $50, and it's like a flat back, or a curved barbell, or a flat back that is curved, or a whatever, and then somebody decides to purchase this because it's cheap, because they're on a budget, they're poor, and then they replace that jewelry that they pierced with in their nether regions with that. Replace jewelry on your nether regions with what you bought cheaply at the store. There are irresponsible souls in this earth like that. And then with that kind of activity going on, all that nerve activity going on in that area, you then start to get like rust. Like, what in the world in that region would something of this nature do? In that area, what would something like what happened to my ear do there? What would something of that nature do to a nipple? What would something like that do to a belly button? What would it do to a nose? If you can pop your pimple somewhere on your face and then get, like, literally end up dying because of an infection that is spreading. In the nose, it could kill. On the nipple, it could kill. And maybe even on the ear. Like, I don't know what in the world this thing could have graduated to. But like in other more intimate areas of the body that people are pierced at, that stuff could basically just spread and spread and spread and spread. You might take it off. You might, right? You likely will, because I mean the level of discomfort, but it's already too late. Look at me, I took it off after 24 hours and I'm still 2 weeks later literally recovering. I'm still healing. Now understand, this cheap jewelry, who in the world buys cheap jewelry, guys? I'm getting to a point. Ultimately, I'm getting to a point. At the end of the day, I'm a gospel servant before I'm anything else. Who in the world buys cheap jewelry? Cheap jewelry. It's the poor. Who buys cheap jewelry? It's the broke. Who buys cheap jewelry? It's not the person that is a snob and prides themselves in having pure gold only. Pure real diamonds only. Not even trying to tether cubic zirconia into your ecosystem. The people who buy cheap jewelry are the poor. It's us. It's people living in the hood, in the gassies. It's people living in the ghettos. It's people that are looking for a bargain because they don't got no money. Ain't nobody got time to be buying real gold. Ain't nobody got money to be buying real rose gold or real titanium, real whatever might be a thing that is the real deal. And so, but they want to look cute. I don't know how many chiquitas at Discam I've met. I've seen basically when I go there to purchase things that have also got like tragus piercings. They've also got helix piercings. They've also got nose piercings. They've also got basically like a brow piercing. Like a lot of them at Discam. They allow it there in their working environment because I guess it's not like corporate South Africa or whatever. Yeah, well, it's not corporate Discam, it's retail Discam type establishment thing. Yeah, I've seen quite a lot of those chicks, and those people, those employees, the staff members at Discam are low income staff. The ones that I've seen wearing this jewelry a lot are the ones at Discam, but I've also seen a chick working at the Pick and Pay with like a tragus. I've seen a chick working at the Checkers that had what is this, like a nose piercing and one here on the brow type establishment thing. Yeah, these girls and guys, these young men and women, some of them are not that young, whatever, are earning a certain salary. So they are not about to go to Stearns to buy body mod jewelry or even Lovisa, which I would know it can get expensive. If I want jewelry like what it is that is on my nose right now and on my ear, like this industrial, like I shower with my jewelry on and it never ever changes color on me because it's like low-key the real deal. Look, is it real gold? I don't know what it is, but I just know that it's not changing color, right? I have bought some jewelry from Lovisa before that did change color on me, but it did not give me an infection. It just changed color, and so I swapped it out. But things like these flat bags, this here on this horseshoe on my tragus, this here barbell, this here industrial inner. I love my industrial. Like what? It's been gold. I don't ever take it off. And I've had it now for like maybe just over a year. And I shower with it, put soap on there, and it stays this color. So I trust Lovisa. Okay. I trust Lovisa to basically give me jewelry that is of a particular standard, but Lovisa is not cheap. It's not cheap. It's not something that somebody earning however many rands an hour, 15, 20 rands an hour at Discam is going to, what do you call this, be prepared to buy. You know what I mean? Like, I think this cost me like almost $400. Like this industrial was like $400, and I had to pinch myself. It was during a time when actually I got a donation. That's the only reason why I bought it. Otherwise I wouldn't have. I liked it because it was the cross. Ish, Crancat, you're a distraction, man. A total distraction, man. A distraction, man. Okay, bye. Bye. Goodbye. Yeah, I had some spare change. That's what I'm getting at. And so I liked it because it was a cross. And I'm Christian, and so for those reasons I got it, but I would never have purchased an industrial, pretty much something that cost, was it even, how much was this thing? How much did it actually cost? Was it 400 bucks or 7. Look, it was a lot of money for somebody that doesn't have it. But 700 bucks or 400 bucks is nothing to a person with a healthy salary that is really trying to do a jewelry haul, just change it up, be able to get some pretty beautiful, expensive, wonderful works of art on their ear. A person in that position is not going to have qualms with spending however much money on real gold or real whatever. Okay? Real rose gold, real whatever. You get my point. Ain't nobody going to be having no problems. Type establishment thing. But if you're working at a discount earning 15, 16, 17 rands an hour, and you're not even permanent there, you're not about to go and spend 700 rands on an industrial. You're just not going to do that. So you're going to buy the cheapest one, something for 150, if at all you insist on having an industrial. And it is these people who, upon seeing deals for days on the market of things that they've always wanted, super marked down, like as in super marked down. It is these people that that just excitedly purchase such things and then put them on their bodies. So if you are manufacturing such corrosive jewelry for the low income market, are you not doing some kind of culling? Is this the Hunger Games? Is that what we're doing? Are these the Squid Games? Is that what we're doing? Like, I need to know. Like, somebody explain a phenomenon to me. Are these not the Cabin in the Woods, where you are trying to see how jewelry is going to eat away at the community? Yakwa Deep Sluit. Are you not just trying to see how residents of Alex are going to be checking into some public hospital in that area every 3 to 4 days with necrotizing fasciitis starting in their belly buttons because of an earring, because of a piercing? Is this not eugenics? Is this not human experimentation? Because there's gotta be rules and regulations as to what can be sold to consumers. Consumer Protection Act, even when they're poor. You cannot sell them something dangerous. You cannot put something dangerous on the market because it is highly likely only going to wipe out the poor. Because then on that day you are committing crimes against humanity. It's unconstitutional. It is an infringement on the right to a human life. You basically tip the scales in the favor of the rich, of the wealthy, purely because you understand that the wealthy are highly unlikely going to walk into Foschini or Jet or Edgar's and buy that 25 rand pack of like 17 pairs of earrings, 18 pairs of earrings. Because I don't do cheap jewelry, it's gonna make my ears rot. Some people would never touch that stuff, but guess who touched it? I did. My mom, every so often, is looking for a little banzela bargain, and she touched it. So you are basically messing with the low income as well as the middle income class of South Africa. People that don't go straight to Lovisa, or people that don't go straight to American Swiss or Stearns to get jewelry or Browns, but they first go to the cheapest little corner of a store that every so often sells strange jewelry. But why I go that section, I go Mr. Price that sells a whole bunch of weird rings for just 50 bucks. Did fella in a pack? Because the ones that go Lovisa, they are dura. But if those rings, upon you putting them on your finger, can eat away at your flesh until it turns green, you're poisoning some people, slowly but surely, because you don't think they are worthy of being protected. Yo, we're at the end of the world. I've been buying cheap jewelry all my life, but it's never eaten away at my ear. It's never given me green pus, and it has also never stayed raw, painful, releasing pus, just oozing 3 weeks later. This was here a brand spanking new phenomenon, and wherever it is that it was sold, my mother purchased it. A middle class woman purchased it. She threw it away just as I threw it away. It likely ate away at her unfortunate ears, and then she threw it away. But somebody might put such jewelry as that, like I said, in their belly button. What are you doing when you're selling such things to people? The standards have decreased. I told you the jewelry that I used to pierce my ears, to keep my holes open, was from back in the day when I was still employed. And I bought it all cheap from all different kinds of random cheap places you can find in South Africa. Chinatown, wherever, that's where I bought it. And nothing has ever eaten away at me like that, meaning that this thing that they did, that product, when they manufactured it recently, and in the manufacturing process, there was a lack of care for the materials they're in as to what under heaven it is that they can do to people. So, in this country, we have got like a whole bunch of issues with potholes, Alright, potholes are these chunky little canyons in the ground that can decimate and bust a cap in the knee of your uncomfortable vehicle if you don't drive very carefully. Okay, they tend to be on the in-roads, these potholes. Okay, in the sense that you're not going to find them very much on main streets or even highways, because that could mean multi-vehicle car pileup that is fatal, and nobody wants to have to account for that, now do they? Nobody wants to have to give an account or a story or an explanation for why that was abandoned until 20 people died on some freak accident day. Right, so you find them on the inroads of which tend to have a particular minimum speed limit. Maximum speed limit, right? You can't go above 60 kilometers per hour. Top of that, they tend to have these like speed bumps to make sure that you don't travel above 60 kilometers an hour. Now, as a result of there being a very low potential, low risk, of there being some fatal accident in these inroads, the South African government has gone out of their way, like proper. This is not even happening only in, what do you call this, like low-income neighborhoods. Thoroughly, you even find this as a phenomenon in like a Sandton or whatever, but not so much in Sandton as you would in like a Wilgegevel, a Roodepoort, like middle class to upper middle class. They kind of lambaste us a lot alongside the ghettos, you know, the Kasis, the Sowetos, the what have you. Go my Alex, you're gonna find a lot of potholes, but these days you also be out here discovering them in Sandton. Okay, Sandton is like an upmarket neighborhood out here in these streets. Anyway, whatever, in South Africa, in Johannesburg, well, Grandshop in South Africa, because I believe it is the most opulent general neighborhood in the whole country. Anyway, whatever, cool. So these potholes that are in our inroads are deliberately popping up every couple of weeks, years, months after that road has been put up, precisely because there are some very corporate individuals in the private and the public sector who are getting deals from the government that are pocketing money and therefore not using the right materials to build our streets, to build our infrastructure. It can account for even why electricity, the issue therein, has been ignored. I found myself jumping up and down on the spot, very jerking, jubilant the other day when I discovered that there's like a whole, they feel scared, afraid. Oh, look at them shake. They're so shaky. They're like a little leaf. Eskom's freaking out about the people leaving the grid in favor of home solar. What were you expecting? It's been a minute. I've been saying it. Over South Africa, it's about time. You like started to do basically independent projects against the government, this utility, because monopolies will always ransack a people with their despotic way of doing life until people give them some real competition. So Geha Eskom elo eradicator altogether. Plus, solar energy, is that not favored by Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum because it's a lot more green? Whatever. Anyhow, let's get back to the point. There are individuals that are going out of their way to build some substandard crappy streets in the inroads because it's just more profitable to do so for them, for their organizations, to get all of this money from wherever it's coming from, keep a whole bunch of it, and then utilize cheap raw materials to build stuff that's going to crack and fall apart in a minute. South Africa, 'tis over for you, like us entirely. I believe it's a whole issue in the world at large, but I am South African, so I can speak to my issues. These potholed roads that you're always driving very carefully around to protect your precious vehicles. Some of y'all even going out of your way to buy 4x4s because it's a lot safer in that giant machine. Yeah. Have you ever seen any such thing on like a freeway? No, absolutely not. And that would then beg the question as to why don't you just then build all the roads of South Africa with the same materials that you build the freeways? Because they're not out here having potholes, are they? If there were potholes on a freeway, what would happen? Somebody tell me. I know, it's giving RIP. It's giving cadaver. It's giving purple blood. It's giving purple skin. It's giving ashy gray. It's giving dead. It's giving multi-car pileup on the highway because some vehicle hit a pothole, spun out of control, and everything else came behind it. So they can't risk that because somebody's going to have to account for all those fatalities on the roads in the country. Because why was there a pothole on the N1 highway? They can't afford that. But as soon as you off-ramp onto Bayers Nadir, you out here like, basically, you're on safari. The way you're so bumpy. Just off the N1. Just off it. You are already in a bumpy ride. On Hendrik Potgieter, Handstreedom, whatever. It is still even called that anymore. Just off it. I mean, it's like literally, is it not the same construction workers? Is it not the same patch of road? Was it not the same project? Are you going to tell me that the guys who build the N roads are different from the ones who built the highways? Highly unlikely, but they made a decision to hook up some substandard materials to build our N roads or our non-highway roads. And then slapped everybody else with these like random chunky holes in the street that they just keep on patching up with tar every so often. Yeah. That whole substandard building materials for the country can account for the country's roads, can account for now why it is that there is a pothole in an earring. A pothole in an earring. Like, you know what you're supposed to use in order to basically make sure that things do not corrode in people's ears when they're met with sweat. That's another thing, like this environment that I dwell in is quite warm. Tis an euphemism that it's an underestimation, an understatement. It's hot. And there are certain metals that when you mingle them together with steam, with water, with H2O, they automatically corrode. They just start to like, yeah. So you need to make sure that when a person is sweating at the gymnasium while still wearing their stud earrings, that their earrings are not going to start to have a chemical reaction with the sweat and cause the metal to rust, and so therefore likely threaten the ecosystem around the ear. To disintegrate until there is a cut and now rust is entering the bloodstream. Some people shower with their earrings. They don't take them off. If you are not manufacturing products based on the regular human being's day, how likely life is to be. If you don't take stuff like that into consideration, you are not caring for people, are you? So when you're gonna go and hook up some material, some rod in the ear of a person that can, like I said, have a chemical reaction with water, with sweat, with all the minerals that you find inside sweat, and then cause an erosion of an ear because of some corrosion of an earring, the corrosion of which can, like I said, release rust into the bloodstream. And some people have got this like lackluster immune system. You're trying to get people checked into emergency rooms that, let's say, like proper, that are jam-packed because people don't have medical aid in that socioeconomic group. So they just pack up bara, made to wait 5 hours while a necrotizing fasciitis is eating away at their ear, while it's eating away at their nose, while it's eating away at their belly button. And by the time they get seen, this person, I mean, how in the world do you even begin to amputate or cut out tissue or flesh from a stomach, a belly button, without causing severe damage, without risking a person's life, without, I mean, you're probably like thoroughly, people are going into ORs, operating rooms, from earrings. Is that like, this is threatening. I told you, it's giving cadaver, it's giving RIP, it's giving crematorium and tombstone. It's giving genocide, it's giving Holocaust. I can't say that enough. For the very same reasons I would imagine why it is that we have potholes on Beyers Naudé but not on the N1 highway. Why we have potholes on the N roads and yet they strangely disappear the moment we on-ramp onto the highway. It's the same companies that build these roads, and yet they're using different raw materials to build certain places just by incorporating into their risk matrices the fact that the speed in these zones is much lower than on the highway, and so the likelihood of vehicle accidents is that much lower too. Plus people, because you have trained us, like literally this is a social conditioning problem. You have socially conditioned South Africans to anticipate potholes on certain roads such that they automatically slow down now because they've been trained. These conditioned little Pavlov's dogs of human beings. They're all like Pavlov's dogs, salivating after a metronome. As soon as they on-ramp onto Beyers Naudé, they automatically slow really hard, knock down, because they're not trying to mess with their new BMW. That's what's good. You trained the human, the population of your country. You train it to drive, I guess, a little more responsibly because of how it is that you're just not catering to them in service delivery. Wow, what a strange way to teach good behavior. Stuff like that ultimately cracks up an entire country, don't you see? It causes people to manufacture earrings that eat away at people's ears and kill them sometimes, but nobody sees it. Nobody under heaven is spotting that individuals' lives are in danger. because they're wearing rusted earrings for extended periods of time, continuing to put them back on and on again until there is so much toxins, so much toxicity in their bodies that when then their livers fail, everybody be out on some, oh man, snap, why in the world under heaven did they have to get a liver disease? What'd they ever do? Did they drink a whole bunch of alcohol? What was happening? Did they take too many pills? No. Just health happens, life happens. People get sick sometimes. Others get cancer. This one got a liver disease. This one had to be put on dialysis. Meanwhile, the only reason that poor woman is on dialysis is because she wore bad earrings for years. She's on dialysis and her hepatic, whatever. Give me my phone, please. System just couldn't take it anymore. E-system yakhe yokuclean out her system of cleaning out toxicities is actually not doing what it needs to do anymore. Oh, come on. Sorry. Yeah, I'm trying to find yeah, it's called the hepatic system. I just had to find the word, I'm sorry. Hepatic system detoxifies blood, metabolizes glucose, and synthesizes proteins, and is a blood reservoir. Apparently it works well with the endocrine system. Yeah, wada, who cares? Right? So that's what under heaven it is that's going on here. So you just say, no, this person just has a hepatic system issue. It's cracking up because life happens. I mean, people get cancer, others get HIV, others get heart attacks. I guess, high cholesterol happens to some of us not so much. I guess it's just life, except is it really life when the government is the one that gave you a bad earring? That over 10 years of wearing that same rubbish on your ears, it ultimately just literally dropped like dominoes. 20 people were called Alex. Another 50 go Soweto, and another 10,000 go Gugulet. Yeah, because I mean that level of release of a toxin in your body over very many years can ultimately kill. It will overwhelm your hepatic system. It will overwhelm your liver system until you need to be put on dialysis. It's like a person drinking alcohol, pooza, forever. Why you are you that babalas chick, you are drinking stroram illis sonor. Go fill the bottle without getting drunk because you're such an alcoholic. Wow. Yeah. I mean, at some point, you're going to get liver disease. Some people smoke cigarettes for 30, 40, 50 years and never ever see a day of lung cancer. But there are others who smoke for 5 years and they are just dying from lung cancer. There are others who don't even smoke, but then they are just dying from lung cancer because of second-hand smoke. Because they've got a mom or a dad that smokes all up in that grill. Or aunt, whatever. You get my point. Yeah. So it's very hard to detect then that these people are being killed by freaking earrings, for crying out loud. Because some people can have these toxins enter their bodies for years, and just like a person that smokes 20 cigarettes a day for 50 years and dies from just sleeping, dies from old age, and that's it. They don't ever get lung cancer, even though they keep on braaiing their lungs. Some people will have these toxins in their bodies constantly flushed out by a healthy hepatic system with it doing nothing, but others will capitulate. Others will capitulate if you keep on releasing a toxin into the system. My dad was a drunk of note. He should have died from a liver disease. Instead, he died from prostate cancer. Totally unrelated to what under heaven it is that he was busy doing to his liver. There are people who can't stop taking pills. Whatever might be the pill that they're taking. Pill for everything. There's a pill for sleep, a pill for a headache, a pill for this, a pill for that, and they've got a whole pill problem. Pill paparanda, what you doing? And they never get any issues with their livers. But then there is a person that'll take mistakenly one extra Panado and then OD. Their liver suffers and they're done for. Yeah. So you don't know who under heaven is out there getting murdered by this government. And the thing about models, what is this, prediction models? They can within perhaps you get my point, a linear regression model that you manufacture in order to figure out what parameters you can put in place so as to minimize the risk of getting busted while maximizing the output of what you're trying to achieve. How many people can we kill without it looking like we're killing them? And how many of these deaths are going to get accounted for as having been caused by other factors? This person was always drinking alcohol. That's why their liver caved in. Except they were also wearing bad earrings. This person died for exactly. All these comorbidities, they likely even hire actuaries. Because these global elites, they're all in on it to depopulate by any means necessary by a certain date. And some of these deaths gotta look natural, otherwise it's gonna be a revolution. Otherwise there's going to be a fight. Some people are gonna be out here like, nah, you're killing us with bad Bill Gates meat. And so they just go on right ahead and make some pretty bad earrings. And then people die after 10 years, like a whole bunch of them. But when you look at who is dying, it's always those that the world feels we would like proper. There's more where they came from. It's the poor. It's always the poor that go first. Because we're the ones buying what you call organic food, like all this food that's being experimented on with steroids and whatnot, not grown in some like beautiful farm where it's running around free. All of this food that's being injected with all of these steroids, all of this random stuff that's being, basically all the experiments of the earth usually smack the poor first. They smack the poor first. So they're the ones that like out here getting cancers caused by random weird stuff. And here I done got gnawed away at. I was eaten as like Pac-Man, you guys, by a whole stud. Like just an earring. Imagine that. Like I'm so important and relevant in life. Like I speak such big things and I'm gonna get killed by an earring. Somebody stabbed me. Literally, somebody put a gun to my head and pull the trigger. Because that's got more honor. More honor. But I'm out here getting murdered by an earring. Over 15 years. I'm out to get it. Nah, guys. Like I said, this is giving Holocaust. It's giving eugenics. It's giving Dr. Death at Auschwitz. It's giving Tombstone, cadaver, mass grave. It's giving genocide. But nah. Don't nobody see that. And all you can think about is Karabo. I'm your chata inja man in ngawe. Yo. Try to cause me to settle the busy witchcraft I'm going left and right, running up and down like Tom and Jerry, trying to force a woman to do what she don't want to do, and yet your government is out here putting some random rust in your system through some bad earrings. If my mother could find that earring and then I happen upon it and take it too, my mother is a upper middle class woman, please. She's not even poor, and yet she done bought a Pac-Man earring. Pac-Man ear, let's call them Pac-Man ear pack rings. They're called they're not earrings, they're peerings, because they are half Pac-Man, half earring. They be eating away at you until you are checked into a hospital for liver failure, and nobody knows that it's your earrings that did that. Earrings of which you've been basically interchanging because you're an El Cheapo over the past 10 years. It's the forever purge. South Africa is condemned, guys. It's just, I can't say that enough. This country, it's like, I'm done. Like I'm I'm not doing it. But it appears like I am. So see here, manje. What are we gonna do about this impasse that we have reached? The very same thing that causes them to build lackluster inroads while our highways are pristine is the very same thing that's causing them to make earrings that are made with horrible raw materials that can interact with the human body in a negative, almost homicidal capacity. And yet ain't nobody out here in these streets trying to wake up and smell the particular coffee. What's wrong with you? It's coffee. Who doesn't like coffee? But no, nobody's waking up. Nobody likes coffee. Everybody out here in these streets are walking around like Papa with like juice in the morning. Do you with your orange juice. But nothing is the same without coffee. And nobody wants to smell it. It's alright. It's alright. We'll just go home. And all these things that I'm saying right now, y'all gonna know what time it is. When there's not even enough medical intervention, not enough medical responders in the tribulation, and you out here dying from an earring. Like I told you, somebody give me a knife and kill me with it. But don't patronize me with an earring that's going to end my life over 10 years. No, guys. So something's up. In 2020. Something changed in 2020. Ever since that global, cough machine. Yeah. Goodness that have just been happening here in the planet. I've never experienced allergies until now. Either I'm falling apart or what they're putting in our everything is falling apart. This is the Hegelian dialectic, unborn. Disasterify the whole ecosystem and then come back tomorrow and be rabubi. Raboopy. I am here to rescue, I'm Spider-Man. Raboopy, Raboopy. I'm here to rescue, I'm Spider-Man. Bonang, Gio Raboopy. Thoroughly go out here, create a damsel in distress out of an entire planet of citizens, and then rock up as Spider-Man to rescue the day. It's called the Hegelian dialectic. Go drop it like dominoes, and then somebody go rock up and be like, I got this, with no underarm hairs, cause onaldi menace. And I happen on chillet. Yeah, I ain't got no dough and I ain't got no time to be shaving no underarm hairs. Ain't nobody here like proper trying to love me, so please, who am I shaving for? Who? Anyway, Rabobe is on his way. The same thing that causes them to disregard inroads is the same thing that has caused them to manufacture earrings that can give you a pus, a green, that is a massive infection on the ear. Another issue, like, I used to live in complexes in this country, right? Basically townhouse, sectional titles, yeah. And having started out living in sectional titles with my mother when I was a kid on the come up, and in the beginning of my independence as a human individual that's just independent, I also lived in townhouse complexes that were built basically around, let's say 2008, 9, 7, yeah, that was sturdy. They were still firm. However, they were a lot smaller than in the days of apartheid, but they were still made with real bricks and real cement and real like tiles, real taps, real steel, real water, mixing the ingredients together instead of something that we don't know, made in a laboratory of Dr. Death. So I've never lived in an apartment, either with my mother or just by myself. In the very beginning of my independence as living by myself, that was just falling apart. Like everything is just like, but why? What's with the door falling? What's with the ceiling cracking? What's with the wall cracking? Why is the tap shaking when I open it? What's that noise coming out? Why is my water tasting different? Oh, what's that color in my water? Oh, what's that down there? Oh, I can't use the shower. I guess I'll have to take a bath until the landlord comes and does the snack. Oh, what's that in the corner of the kitchen? Oh, it's a crack. Was it always there when I started here? Did I cause the crack? I need to call the landlord lest he should think I caused the crack. What's that? Oh, I'm gonna have coffee. Open the cupboard. Oh, the door's on my face. Oh, I fainted. Oh, why? Because the door of the cupboard landed on me. I never had that until I had that. Like, I lived in these complexes that were built in 2015, 16, 17. They were still new when I moved in. We were like phase 1 of residents living there, and they were still building phase 2. So there was construction in the same complex where we were living. Men walking around with hard hats and everything. Yeah, construction workers. And it was in living in these brand spanking new complexes that I was proud at least had Wi-Fi. Something I've never experienced before. Then all of a sudden, oh, the kitchen counter, it fell on me. Oh, the crack on the bathroom floor, was it there yesterday? Oh, I've slipped and fell. Why? Because there was a loose tile. Oh, calling the landlord every 3 days. Dude be out here thinking you're literally like hammering his walls in his complex, in his unit, because none such damage was there when you moved in. Yeah. I had never experienced that level of weakness of the structure of a building that I was living in until around 2015, 16, 17. Because the apartments that were built like in 2004, 5, 6, 2000, yeah, you get my point. They were sturdy. They were firm. When you drill a hole into a wall, it's a hole that stays in that one area and it doesn't make like a spider's webs. And then just the whole circumference around it is all cracked up, looking like the epicenter of an earthquake. For the first time in my life, I experienced living in a falling apart home, only for me to go to the clubhouse and discover that, oh, really? Like, everybody agrees. Everybody was having an issue. One guy, where I was staying, had like a sliding door, like the young son, was opening the sliding door to go outside, and as he opened it, it fell on him. Like the whole thing unhinged and fell on the child. Thank God the kid was cool. Didn't even need to be hospitalized or whatever. Yeah, no injuries. Hallelujah. But the fact that that happened, same person of which in his house, when he opened a cupboard, yakichini, I'm using these examples because these are actual real life events just not happening to me. The cupboard thing unhinged and almost fell on him and he had to catch it and unscrew the whole thing and then call the landlord on some, this is falling apart. It was new. The complex was new. It was not old. It wasn't falling apart because it was old. It was new. Everything was new. And yet it was falling apart. What is doing that in the country? What? What is doing that in new buildings? It is corruption, chilling in our governments, chilling in our private sector, getting contracts to build residential properties that are not fit for habitation by human beings. And yet people are being moved in. And when they move in, there are all these snags all over the show. Landlord always gotta be all up in that grill 2-3 days. Every second or third day you like something's falling out. The shower water's there, blah, blah, blah. The water coming out from the tap is a funny color. I can't drink it, I can't use it, I can't shower with it because I don't know what's in here because plumbing was not done properly. And so funny little corrosive substances are actually coming into the water as it is being, pushed through the system, the plumbing, the piping. Yeah, stuff like that was happening in 2 complexes where I stayed until I was like, yo, Hey. Yeah, that's all I could say. Corruption, like no man's business, basically causing South Africans to be very sick. I mean, if your water has got funny little stuff, color coming into it, plumbing is not done properly, what is the health hazard over there? What could happen if a child drinks that? I mean, plumbing, if at all you don't do it right, you're going to be getting sewage pipes mingling with water pipes that we use to shower and drink. And so when you've got all of that, we're basically dealing with a low-key case of like cholera out here managing to find its way in some drinking water of a child. And your kid has got cholera living like in 4 ways. When did did they visit Mahayeng and swim in a river? How did this kid get cholera? I know. They lived in a complex that had like poor plumbing. But guess what? It was like erected just the other day. It opened for showroom views just day before yesterday. It's like a whole 2022 complex that's just opened yesterday. And yet your kid is out here getting cholera from the water they're in because of literally fecal matter that you find in water thanks to irresponsible piping or irresponsible sealing of pipes or segregating them because these people are using bad raw materials in order to build our homes. They're using bad raw materials in order to build our streets. They're using bad materials, therefore raw, in order to make our earrings. And now we have got all this rust in our bloodstream. And look at us be put on dialysis 5 years later from earrings. Yeah, guys, this is not alright, okay? This is just not okay. Like, monstrosities need to cease and desist from being monsters, but if you don't want to be a seized of hostilities monster, if you will not walk in a cessation of hostilities against humans, the Lord is just gonna like grab us, okay? He's gonna take us and be like, okay, this is what we're gonna do, not this. We are not going to continue like this. South Africa, your land is uninhabitable. This is unacceptable. The apartheid crisis is only like basically, a small little pin drop in the ocean. Like, you have got to comprehend that this here is not what we are trying to do. We cannot do it. It is unsustainable. The country's fallen apart because of corruption. The world at large is like this too. And I thoroughly believe with every single bone in my uneasy body that the irresponsibility on the part of the South African government and the irresponsibility on the part of certain people within the private sector, but who are wealthy, like no man's business, who basically run real estate in this country, who run the 5 or 6, 7 people that actually really run everything. Yeah, I thoroughly believe, like proper, it's like the deep state. I do believe that they're in on it, like a whole mass depopulation strategy that is going to come from all facets or sectors of society, making it look normal, the way that people are just dying, but of course increasing defects in people, increasing, like sicknesses, increasing carcinogens in our bodies that ultimately become these malignant cancers. Like a strategy to like literally sloth away at quite the chunk of the human race over a set amount of time. so as to reduce the number of people on the earth at all in favor of this weather issue. I don't want to use the word lest my channel should get struck or whatever. You know, this whole thing that everybody's saying that the weather is killing us all. Yeah. And that we have to reduce how much certain elements on the periodic table that we, exhale and inhale. Yeah. In order to reduce the amount of such elements as those, we have got to basically get rid of certain numbers of people, and there is no getting rid of human beings that is going to happen with basically human beings taking it all lying down. People don't go down easily. They don't go down without a fight. Even when they are trying to make us burn less fossil fuels and eat less whatnot and eat more this and what have you. Bottom line is, we're inherently are born dead in trespasses and sins, and in sin did our parents conceive us. So we kind of are rebellious. We hate authority. We're recalcitrant. We're wayward children. So whenever we get given rules, we just don't obey. So the more rules they give, the more dystopian in our anarchy we become. So given that they understand that we don't like rules, they then don't make them. Not that many, or at least they appear to be making rules. But this time around, when it comes to, getting what they want anyway, come hell or high waters, they will embark on shoddy underhanded strategies that come from very senior people of the earth, 2 or 3 of them that are running this whole show, that are then going to give mandates to countries to essentially walk in a Hegelian dialectic. A Hegelian dialectic of which is the destruction of an ecosystem just so you can rock up and rescue the day. Our governments, it's almost as if though they're being made to hurt us. South Africa is just falling apart in the worst way. It's also judged by God. Let's just put that out there. It can't stand Israel, so that's not sustainable. But over and above its hatred for Israel, there's then all of these other socio-economic issues. There are all of these other infrastructural issues, like basic things that make an economy thrive. Like, why are you so defeatist? What is with the shooting of oneself in the foot? Like, why do you not want to grow? But that's just the thing, we can't grow as a global citizenship. If at all, we are allegedly going to survive what is the coming weather disaster. This weather catastrophe is going against everything that we have ever held dearly to as a human race. Do you not see? It's claiming that if we continue to proliferate as we are on the planet right now, our numbers, we're not going to be alright. But humanity, all we've been doing since the beginning of time is working by the sweat of our brow to go out there, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth and occupy it. We've been building trade and industry ever since Cain and Abel. It's been a thing. All we can do is progress, all we can do is innovate, and all we can do is aversion. All we can do is be fruitful and multiply. And so it entirely goes against everybody's apparent safety, according to these global elites, for us to continue to do just that. It's like the human race has come to a point, according to these mere mortals, where it is that there's literally just too much prosperity in countries where a nation thrives and prospers, people boom. Only look at, indeed, the baby boomers of what is it, like the 20s, is it the terrible 20s, the trashy 20s, the tasty 20s, whatever, that season when people were just making a whole bunch of babies? Do you know why they were making babies? It's because the economy was just like kicking it. It was killing it. It was ransacking it, cremating it, putting it in the ground, and then putting a tombstone on it, the way it was killing it. And so because the economy was killing it, they just decided, so we're all rich, let's have babies. We're all rich, let's have babies. And so boom, there was like an increase in population of the human race during that time in nations where all that was a thing. Alright? Yeah. Seeing as these people want to depopulate the living daylights out of us, it is therefore not in anybody's best interest for any economy to actually thrive. It's in no one's best interest for there to happen. We're in the 20s again, look at that. It's about time to make more babies, guys. Let's have these babies. Let's have the babies. But are we making babies? Can we? Why? How? Asnamali, everybody's broke. Who's trying to make a baby when they have no money? They're literally crippling their own economies. Because a crippled economy is birth control. Do you understand what I'm saying? Bad food is birth control. Bad earrings are birth control. Bad roads are birth control. Because they minimize the number of human beings. Basically, first there's going to be a cancelling out effect, if you know what I mean, where it is that there are just as many human beings as born as there are dying, and then there's going to be more dying randos than there are living, until the population declines in a steady way that is not obvious that we're being culled. It's giving, like I said, RIP, cadaver, genocide, Holocaust. It's giving global apocalypse. It's giving second coming of the Lord Jesus Christ. What do you think? I think that's it. It's giving Christ gotta do something about this, because this whole mass murder thing, looking like it's just an earring. Can't. That's what's going on, yalla. Kalohanyang hore, that's a thing. Get into it. We are out here being killed very cautiously by people who realize that the only way that we're all going to be subdued in our numbers is if our economies just crash and burn. That's why we've got this global crisis financially right now. That's why nations are in a meltdown, and it looks as if though they all are just so sad that the economies are flopping. No. Certain people are glad that economies are flopping, because when economies flop, people enter into poverty, and when people are poor, some die. They can't afford medical care. They can't afford right food. They can't afford expensive jewelry that's not going to rust and enter. That's not going to gangrenize their ears. When people are poor, they drink bad water and get cholera and then die. When people are poor, they wander from street to street. They have a whole bunch of sex and get venereal diseases, and then they pass away from them, seeing as they're so poor they can't even get medical attention for them. When people are poor, they get HIV. That's what you must understand. When people are poor, they partake in practices that ultimately give them cancer. They sit around in the sun for too long. They smoke too many cigarettes. They eat certain really bad foods. They don't watch their health. They don't exercise. When people are poor, they kill themselves slowly but surely. So, I mean, do you not see that there's an extinction level event happening in the world and in my country? I can make an observation of that which has made all of us poor. Why am I poor? Somebody please tell me why am I poor? I mean, come on. Like, I need to understand what is with the poverty in my particular life. Guys, why don't I have money? Why don't I have a cent in my account? Why is such an intelligent woman unemployed? I was made poor by corruption. When people are poor, they also incline towards devilish means to get ahead. Let's do one last part.